We're about 10 days away, roughly, from the Four Nations Faceoff rosters being announced. So we figured that was a good time to go update the projections that we did at the beginning of the month. Now, our Finland and Sweden GMs that we appointed, and Stephen Ellis and Uffe Boden, didn't make a ton of changes to their rosters. Ellis's one was Kotkaniemi in, Machelli out, and on the Sweden side of things, it was Nils Hoglander out and Ricard Raquel in. But Frank, you were the most active of our armchair Four Nations GMs or projectors in all of this. You're naming Team USA for us, and you had 3 players coming in and out. Take me through some of the changes you made.
Well, to be clear, these are exactly the types of discussions that Team USA and Canada particularly are engaged in this last week or 10 days before the rosters are due to be submitted. We're not grinding on, top 6 forwards and top 4 defensemen. It's really down to like who's going to be the 12th, 13th forward and who's going to be the 6th, 7th defenseman. And maybe if you're Canada, you're squabbling over goalies still, and you're trying to pick the hottest hand, and you give it an extra runway. But when it comes to my Team USA roster, look, I had 3 changes. I had Chris Kreider out. I just found the way that Tage Thompson has played to this point, he's been dominant, and I think it's really tough to deny him a spot with the size that he brings and the different elements. I left in Vincent Trocheck from the New York Rangers, and I know that's Ranger on Ranger crime there, but to me, when you look at this, Trocheck and the minutes that he plays under Peter Laviolette, how much more he sees speaks to the versatility that he has compared to Kreider, and speaks to the trust that he has in the lineup. And that's really what you're looking for when you're putting together, the bottom 6 that you have for Team USA is give me some different elements to bring to the table. What are you going to be doing at even strength since you're not going to be on the power play? And Kreider is an unbelievable net front presence, a tough guy to leave off, but I think that's probably the right play. I mean, you look at someone like Matt Boldy, he scores again last night in Edmonton. He's been north of a point per game so far this season. Maybe a little bit of pause with JT Miller and the leave of absence, but I would think that the body of work that he's put in to this point, that probably makes him a really safe bet still for the Americans. But when you look at the defensive side of it, this is where I made the most changes. Zach Werenski coming off of a 5-point night. That actually wasn't what did it for me. I had made this change a couple days ago, but look, 5 points in the OT winner certainly isn't going to hurt. And I subbed him in for Jake Sanderson, who's just been a little bit inconsistent for my liking. I think you want to try and bring in a young piece that can be with your team for now and 2026. But I think the mission and mandate is clear for Team USA. We want the best team for 2025, and we'll deal with 2026 in the Olympics later. So I've got Sanderson out, Werenski in, and I've got Noah Hannafin in and Brett Pesce out. Pesce's just been a little bit slow to adjust to this season coming off of that injury at the very beginning of the year. Hannafin's just rock solid. And I think one of the big things with that sort of 6th, 7th D position that you're selecting is if you have a guy that's out of the lineup, how's he going to handle it? Is he going to pout? Is he going to complain? I think every sign to this point indicates that Noah Hannafin wouldn't. I think GM Bill Guerin was in Toronto very specifically to see Noah Hannafin play against the Leafs earlier this week. And I think he got a good viewing of him. Goalies don't change, even with Swayman struggling. I think as a third guy, again, longer sample size, body of work. Hellebuck and Ottinger are the slam dunks, and you hope you don't need to get to your third guy.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be my question was with Swayman, again, the numbers have been bad this year. We obviously know how good he can be, but if he's kind of locked in as your third goalie, are you tempted to bring some youth and maybe someone like a Dustin Wolf? But another guy that is sort of more along the lines of, would you want to, this is a poor choice, or like groom him a little bit for the Olympics in a couple of years? Jason commented about Alex Vlasic on the blue line.
I mean, look, I think Vlasic and Wolf are in the same category. I'm hugely bullish on Vlasic for 2026. I just think he's just not quite at that level for Four Nations this year in 2025.
All right, so let's dig into Team Canada a little bit now, where the goaltending situation is very, very complicated. But our guy Matt Larkin made a couple of changes. He had Mark Stone and Steven Stamkos coming out. Stamkos because of his early season struggles in Nashville. Stone because of, the injury concerns with him. He's on IR right now for the Golden Knights. Coming in was Travis Konechny and Brandon Hagel. He also had the Morrissey and Theodore conversation, but Hagel's an interesting one for me, Frank. He really would be coming into this as a penalty kill guy. He's one of Tampa Bay's most used PKers. Do you like the idea of going with someone like a Brandon Hagel who could fill a certain role here, I suppose, versus someone like Stamkos, who I think is undoubtedly more skilled?
Well, I think if you say that, you're also discounting Hagel and the production that he's had.
Sure.
I mean, look at this year, north of a point per game. Last year, 26 goals and 75 points in 82. Like, it's not like you're talking a 30-point drop off to add the different element. This is a guy that's still hugely productive. He can play with top end players and has proven that in Tampa Bay. And I love the energy that he provides. I think he's just got a little bit of something else that, look, Stamkos has also been really slow to adjust to a situation that's a little bit difficult in Nashville. And so they've struggled as a whole, and he's certainly been part of that. Here's there's a couple areas that I disagree with Matt, and we've had this debate on text. So look, his opinion certainly valued, and I totally get all the points that he makes. I don't know how you leave Mark Scheifele off this team. I'm not leaving Mark Scheifele off my team, Canada, but this is Matt's team. And you look at Scheifele in the year that he's had, I think he's just been dominant. Matt made the point, he hasn't been as good defensively. I don't really care about how good he is or isn't defensively. And not to say that this is an all-star team. I don't view him as a liability out there. And when he's such a force with the puck that I just think it's undeniable to leave him off. And I think same thing kind of on the back end. Shea Theodore, I love the season Josh Morrissey has had. And frankly, with Team USA, Neil Pionk's been great this year too. But I'm putting Shea Theodore on, and I'm probably going to have Travis Sanheim in for Mackenzie Weegar, for instance. But those are just some little things here or there. I think the goaltending, though, continues to be fascinating. Like, Binnington's numbers haven't been good, but he's got the Doug Armstrong connection, and they won a Stanley Cup together, so he can play in big moments. Logan Thompson, I think, has been a clear late entrant to this with the job that he's done with the Washington Capitals. But one guy, and probably not the best day to bring this up, given the goal that he let in last night, Marc-Andre Fleury, like, if you have to pick a third guy, to me, I'm going with him every time. First off, he's universally beloved. Second, his numbers are still really good and he can still play. And third, if he's just going to be the third guy anyway, and the goal is to make everyone feel good and sort of be I don't want to say mascot, isn't that exactly who you want on your team? Like, if need be, if you were pressed into playing Marc-Andre Fleury, would you feel like you don't have a chance to win in the championship game, winner take all? I'd feel just as good about him with his career track record as anyone else.
Yeah, Frank, I'm totally with you on that. And for me, I get the Doug Armstrong connection for Binnington, but he doesn't have the best numbers out of the Canadian-born goalies on his own team. Joel Hofer has better numbers than him this year, and Aiden Hill's got an 888 as well. So I don't know. There's no right answer for Canada and the goaltending. It's going to be, without a doubt, their biggest weakness. And if they don't win the tournament, I think it's kind of a captain obvious thing to say. It will be because of their goaltending. Like, it's absolutely brutal. So
what's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.